Welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations. If this is your first time in joining me, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button, give us the thumbs up. Maybe hit the bell if you want to keep us coming in your news feed. And if you've been here before, thank you for tuning in again. We're gonna do something a little different for me, because usually I leave the wreath making for the shop to my mother. She's 92, she's a retired art teacher, and she is awesome at making wreaths. But I saw a video from Julie's Wreath Boutique. So if you want to look at awesome online video tutorials on how to make wreaths, she has a great channel. I caught one that she did of a big kind of sunflower out of mesh, and I thought I would give it a try. But when I went to Michael's to purchase mesh, it's like $15 a roll or $18 a roll, I think, and I wasn't sure that I wouldn't mess this up. So because I didn't have a lot of wreath making faith in myself, I decided that I was going to tweak it. I didn't want to do exactly what she had done. I thought I'd riff off on it. And instead I bought rolls of burlap. Now this has kind of got finished edges. And these were only $7. So I went a different way, and I figured, okay, you know, you want to take somebody else's idea, you want to put your own spin on it anyway. So we're going to do kind of a natural burlap wreath. We are going to try and make a natural burlap wreath. But here's my thinking. I don't think I am particularly good at this, in which case, if this works and it looks cute, y'all know you can do it too. So that's my thinking, is that, you know, for a lot of these things that I'm showing you, a lot of them are my first time doing them. So if you think that they turn out okay, then I want you to know you could do it too, because I'm just faking it. So what we've got is the burlap ribbon, and I've cut this into 12-inch pieces, and this is maybe about 5 inches thick. Does it say on it? It doesn't say on it, the width. Oh, it does, 5.5 inches. Perfect. So it's 5.5 inches wide, and it's about 10 inches long. And I just wanted something that had maybe finished edges, because then it's not going to be all unraveling. So I did think ahead that way. And then I have these zip ties, and I got these at the dollar store. So again, keeping expenses down. I got a metal wreath frame. This is a 10-inch one from Michael's, and I think this was $7. So I am trying to keep the cost down, because it doesn't make sense to do something that's going to cost you $150 and then it sucks. I'm not aiming for it to suck. I'm just looking at that being a possibility. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take this strip of fabric, and I am going to fold the two ends down toward the middle. So I end up with kind of this pointy triangle. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to turn both of those edges in toward the middle again, and that is going to become my petal. I'm faking this, but it looks good. So the one trick that Julie had was that when we go to attach this first row, we don't attach it to the outside row. We want that outside metal to act as a bit of a support to our first row of petals, which I thought was an awesome suggestion. So we actually go in one row. So we're going to, I'm not sure I know how to use these actually. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Okay, so put our twist tie through one row and lay the petal face up. Cross that over, put it through. Oh, zip ties are fun. Okay. and zip it tight. And I should have zipped it higher. I don't think you can unzip, can you? Okay. Yeah, learn along with me, folks. Okay, so if I have done this, I'm just wondering if I need to do a hot glue spot on the back of this. So these little pieces, I want to stay in, so I need to kind of fold in. Okay, that'll maybe work. All right, so I kind of tucked those back pieces in so that they don't come out. And that seems to have managed it, but we'll see if that works once I try and zip it on. All right, so we want to get it low enough that it catches. I didn't catch it low enough, and I think that was my problem. And oh my gosh, she did this with like one hand. All right, she is awesome, and I am clearly not. All right, one petal on. Does it look good so far? All right, so that goes on, and then we cut off the excess of our zip tie. And I'm thinking I could then, with better scissors, cut off a bit of that tail. Thick burlap. Okay, one down, 500 million to go. All right, so we fold in to have, we want the points to match down here, and that kind of guarantees that our tails, our petals are always going to be uniform. So then taking this into that same middle point, and that one in, tucking that back over. So you can see this is it folded, tuck that back over like that, and then that's what we're going to zip tie. All right. I'm assuming that these guys will maybe kind of slide when you get them on the wire. Just to help with the spacing. And then there we go. 2 petals. Looks like bunny ears so far. These would be an awesome fold technique for bunny ears. Things I discover along the way. Okay, so I'm looking at this, and my wire segment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little wire segments. I think I'm going to get maybe 3 of these petals per wire segment. So it'd be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 petals for the outside row. And then we'll be going in a row and doing in between. So let's see how it goes. So I'm gonna try 3 all the way around. So 3 in each of my sections. I think that sometimes these wire have different, they might only have like 4 segments or something. So you're gonna have to figure out your spacing depending upon what you have. But I'm going to just do exactly the same thing. So one more time, fold into the middle to have them meet. Flip it over, fold these back into that same middle. Okay, this is now the back. You can see those loose pieces. So just kind of twist that lower piece over top to hold it in place for zip tying. Okay, why do I find the zip tie is the hardest part? I am zip tie challenged. Okay, and because I was slow on the zip tie, that came apart. All right, so one more time with feeling. think I need to get my zip ties on my form before I start making my petal. Okay, so I am going to try, okay, now I'm thinking 4. I'm gonna do 4 per segment. 3 is too sparse. See, 3 would be spaced too sparse. So I'm gonna do 4, and I love that these slide, so I can kind of play with the spacing. So I'm gonna do 4 each, so 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So I'm gonna be doing 24 on the outside edge. And I'll come back at ya when that outside edge is done, and we'll see what it looks like. Pray for me. Okay guys, this is where I'm at. And it's looking awesome. I really like this. So that definitely was 4 per little segment. So now we need to start on the next row. And I think that it's going to fall on the next row in, next row of the wire in, and you're just doing exactly the same thing. The difference here is that we're gonna go in between each of the petals that we have. So on this inner row, our outer row, we had 4 per segment. We're gonna have 3 per segment. So you're gonna go in between each of them. You're doing exactly the same size cut of petals, so don't vary that at all. And exactly the same method that you were using. So we're not gonna switch it up. Let me anchor my petal down. So the one thing I discovered is I should put this through before I do my petal. All right, so that's there. This goes in here. And I have improved with the zip ties now. So I'm just putting this in between, pulling it tight, cutting off my excess. I got better scissors this time. I'm cutting off my zip tie. So it just lies right in between there. So it's gonna look nice and full. Now, I had a couple of 10-inch pieces, 2 or 3 left over from the first roll. So I've just started cutting into the second roll of burlap, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm just gonna, oh, that was a cut one. I'm just gonna lay this in between, fold over my petal, flip it over. Do my little inward folds. And pull it tight. And this actually goes really pretty fast. Once you get into the rhythm of it, and those zip ties just make it a breeze. And so you can see there where we started to do the inner leaves, inner petals, and that they just kind of lay in between. So, gonna go all the way around, and I'll be back, and we'll see where we're at. So, I'm not sure if I need to do another inner, so 3 rows. I'm thinking 3 rows, and then I'll be back at you when we get to that decision, and then we'll worry about the center at that point. So more steps to go, but it actually goes pretty fast. And I'm liking the natural look of the burlap so far. So fingers crossed, thumbs up, hang in there. This is our wreath now with 2 rounds. It's looking awesome. I really like this. What I have started to do, I wanted to see, so I wasn't decided about whether I needed a 3rd row or not, but I put 2 in at the top, and I do think that just every so often around here, it's gonna look good. So I am going to be adding that third row in. And again, I'm kind of spacing them about every 2 of my other ones apart, which I think is going to be enough because we still have the center to add in, and I need to leave a little bit of wired space to be able to add that center in. So I think that this will give enough extra fullness, adding it in just in those extra little spaces, while still leaving a little bit of space for me to be able to add our center in. So it just kind of, so probably that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, maybe 9 or 10 on the inside row. And then I'll come back and start working on the center with you, which I'm also going to be faking. So this is going okay so far, and I'm hoping the center isn't the part that brings me down. Anyway, stay tuned, and I'm going to do the rest of the center, and then we're going to come back and talk. I'm going to do the last of the center row, and then we're going to talk about doing the big center half circle thing, because this whole inside is going to be filled as well. See you soon. All right. Here we have the finished burlap part of our wreath, which is looking pretty darn cool. What we now need to work on is the center. So what I do have, and just by the way, I have this much left of the third bundle of this. Now this says it's 30 feet or 9 meters in length, and I used 2 and maybe a third, 2 and a third, 2 and a half of them. So just to give you an idea, I mean, we were using 10-inch lengths, and you can kind of do the math from there as to how many that you need, but I think it's just easier to know that took 30, 60, definitely shy of 90 feet, but probably about 70 to 75 feet of burlap to be able to get to this point. Now, what I did do was, also from Michael's, I picked up a piece of plastic canvas, and before I started attaching all of my burlap, I did just kind of trace the inside dimension of the center part of my wreath, trace that out, because we're going to be using this for our center part of our flower. So I'm going to bite the bullet with the better scissors, and we are going to just roughly cut around this circle, because we are going to be attaching this to, again, that inside wire rim, which is one of the reasons why I don't have my petals going everywhere. I wanted to still have a little bit of space where I'd be able to attach this when it's completed. All right, so plastic canvas in hand, also from Michael's. I got this Burlap blanket big yarn. I wanted something that was a little earthier looking, but this was as close as I could get to kind of that off bleached look. And I definitely didn't want white. So I don't know enough to know where the ends of these things are kept hidden. Yes. All right. So what I am going to be doing is wrapping maybe about 3, 4, 5 times around my hand. and then pinching that in the center. And I am going to use my twist ties. And quite honestly, I would have gone for a slightly larger hole on my plastic, and they didn't have any. But I'm going to use my twist tie, my whatever tie this is. You know what I'm using. And have it come down through the middle of it. And there we go. So what we're going to be looking at is doing multiples of this. 3, 4, 5. And starting to anchor them on. So because I've got this one going this way, I want maybe the next one to lay down beside it this way. Take that twist tie up, and again, right around the center. Take it down and through. Anchor it in place, and then cut that off. So you can see that as we go, we're going to start getting this big kind of puffball center that we will then anchor in place. So I'm just going to continue adding to this, and then come back at you when we try and anchor it into the center of our wreath. But all that we're going to be doing is, taking this and now adding another one off to the side here until we fill this entire circle of the canvas. Our completed center looks kind of like this. Now it's all kind of puffy and curved, so we'll see how the squeezing it into the center piece works. But in essence, it's going to sit down in there like this, so that our flower looks like this. This sort of resembles a cauliflower. So the idea is going to be to take these up from the back, I'm thinking, and hook it onto the outside rim, fit it through some of that plastic canvas and zip it in place, and kind of do the same all the way along so that it is now secured. So pretty straightforward from that perspective. Just a little finicky, but it's all good. So I'm just going to attach these all the way around, and then cut the tails off, and then we will kind of see how it looks from the front, maybe make some minor adjustments to the petals. Then technically we're done. Now you always have the option of being able to hang a loop if you wanted. You've got the wire frame, which is what I intend to hang it from, so I don't think it's necessary, but if you wanted, you could do that. And certainly if you don't like the look of this backing, if you think that looks a little too rough, you could glue a piece of felt, a round piece of felt in place. If you wanted a slightly more finished look, that would work also. So I'm not pulling this too tight because the zip ties will kind of pull apart the canvas, the plastic canvas, which is what I discovered on the first one that I really kind of yanked. So I'm being a little more delicate as I go. And I think that, again, that's more than sufficient to kind of keep it in place. So I was just a little overzealous with my zip tying of it. The little finishing touch to our wreath. So again, a little bit simple looking is I have these tiny, tiny, tiny little picks. These came from the dollar store. And all I'm going to do is fold them over. And this is so tightly woven, I'm not going to have to glue them in or anything. But I'm just going to kind of push these down in and nestle them down into all of this deep pile. So what I'm looking for is just having, you know, like little stamens or something kind of in the piece, or, you know, the seeds of a sunflower, that kind of idea. So just giving a little bit more detail to this little center of our flower, and just kind of sticking them in kind of, well, I'd say wherever, it's kind of wherever I can, wherever they manage to fit. And just sort of creating a little bit of that seeded little contrast there. And I think maybe that will just kind of give me just a tinge of variety, a little bit more interest in the center. And we'll see. Because they're not glued in, if I don't like this idea, I can take it out. But you can see already that it just kind of creates a little bit more of a contrast and a little bit more interest in the center. So I'm going to carry on with that, and then I'm going to get some pics taken for you. And drop a note in the comments. What do you think of this? One, I would love for you to give it a try and drop some pics in. It was way easier once I got going than I thought. It really finishes up fast, and I think that I am ready to brave buying some of the mesh, you know, actually expensing a little bit more and investing in a little bit more, because I really think that it's mess up proof. Not really a phrase, but you get what I'm saying. This one came together, and I think that this is definitely a medium that's maybe a little bit tougher to use. So I think that this turned out great. It's got that real neutral feel that I was after. I think it's super cute, and I think that I'm ready to brave something in the mesh world that's going to be a little bit funkier, a little bit more colorful, and maybe Christmas themed. Who knows? So stick with me, and we'll see if I come up with something to give this another try. Love to see if you give it a try, though. So let me know, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.